How you doing, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to World of Tanks with Scott. I know it's been a really long time, which is kind of odd considering that this actually started as a World of Tanks channel, but I figured it was about time to bring World of Tanks back to the channel. Honestly, while I was deployed in Afghanistan, a lot of the outstanding soldiers and leaders that I was deployed with actually played World of Tanks in their spare time, and that's kind of what got me back into it. I started playing a little bit when I got home, and I've been building up some footage and whatnot, so I thought I would start putting some videos back up on the channel. It's one of my goals for the new year. What do you guys think of the intro? I think it's pretty awesome. It's literally just the intro video that plays in the background of World of Tanks, so we'll see if I get copyright strike over that. I didn't think Wargaming would mind using their own video to promote their own game, but we'll find out. But what I wanted to talk about for my first World of Tanks video is this thing right here, the BatChat 12T. And the reason I wanted to talk about it was because it's one of the first big changes I noticed when I got back from Afghanistan. As I sat down to play my 1390, and I was like, my 1390 is tier 9, and it's been replaced by this thing, the 12T, which is the new French tier 8 light tank. So I thought we'd take a look at it and see what its strengths and weaknesses are, how it stacks up to the other tier 8 light tanks, and then take a look at some gameplay in it. Now, in order to give you an idea of how this thing stacks up, I've set up a tank compare using the in-game tank comparison, and we're going to take a look at this now, and I'll show you how this thing stacks up. So here we are in the tank compare. This is right inside the World of Tanks, and what I've done is I've configured all the tanks with 100% crew, their standard ammunition, and no camouflage, no equipment, no any of that stuff, so you can actually get an idea of what the tanks are, and then what you do with them equipment-wise and crew skill-wise from there is entirely up to you. But as you see right off the bat, looking in the firepower category, the BatChat 12T is dead last. Now we know that a little bit of that is because it's an autoloader. It takes a long time to reload that magazine, so its DPM is not the greatest. But even if you account for that, right? Recall that the 1390 used to have a 90mm autoloader. You could clip out other light tanks if they were not very careful. This thing cannot do that because, as you can see, it has a 75mm autoloader with a 4-round magazine. It has 170mm of penetration, which is tied for the Bulldog with the lowest, and it only does 170 points of damage, which my napkin math says that comes out to about 680 for a magazine if you hit all 4 rounds. It's not enough. You can't even clip out a competitive tier 8 tank, let alone a tier 7 unless he's already taken a little bit of damage maybe. So the autoloader is not that impressive, especially when you consider that it's only got 0.36 accuracy. If you look down here at the dispersion 100 meters, considering that we're using a 75mm, which is smaller than the other guns, and its accuracy is just kind of blah. It's a little bit better than the Bulldog and the WZ-132, but not as good as the LTTB. Depression, it doesn't have that going for it either. It's only got 6 degrees of gun depression, which is again mediocre in the middle. And I don't know what to say. It's neat because it's an autoloader, but you'll get over that real quick the first time you get caught in reloads and circled by an LTTB or a Bulldog. Going on to the survivability of the tank, again, it's the same story. It's kind of mediocre at best. It doesn't have any armor to speak of like the Bulldog, but the only one of the three that really do is the LTTB. It's got some pretty significant armor actually when it's facing other light tanks. If it angles it, it can get some bounces. The WZ-132's got less armor than the LTD, but again, it's sloped and you can sometimes get some bounces. But the Bulldog and the BatChat, let's face it, we're looking at light tanks, and survivability is not really what they're known for. The only thing going for the BatChat is it does have 1,000 hit points as compared to the Bulldog, which for some reason only got 950, and then the LTB and the WZ-132 both have more. So no joy there either. Mobility, again, same story. It's only got a 400 horsepower engine, so it's got a decent power to weight ratio, but it doesn't have a better power to weight ratio than the LTTB, and it doesn't have a higher top speed than any of those tanks except for the WZ-132. It doesn't have a higher reverse speed. It's just kind of middle of the road, again, even in terms of maneuverability, which really makes you start to wonder, well, what is this tank good at? If it's not good at firepower, it's not good at survivability, it's not particularly good in the mobility category, well, the only thing it's really good at is concealment. You can see here its concealment rating is much better than the other three are tier 8 light tanks. You can actually get to a bush and hide significantly better than the other light tanks at this tier. Unfortunately, you don't have the spotting to complement that because, again, it's 380 across the board, and once again, the BatChat 12T doesn't really stand out. So looking at the numbers, you would think that this is just kind of a meh light tank, but you have to remember it's difficult to account for that autoloader. A good skilled player using an autoloader can be particularly dangerous. Even though this is not the monstrosity that the 1390 was, you can still be very dangerous, particularly towards the ending stages of the game. Now, like all tanks, this thing shines when it's top tier, and it really is no fun when it's bottom tier, because you can imagine T-49s and Sheridans eat this thing for lunch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you guys a game that I had right after I got back from Afghanistan in this thing, and let you see how this translates into gameplay on the battlefield. So without any further ado, let's take a look at the footage. Alright guys, so here we are on Cliff in our BatChat 12T, and you'll notice right away one of the things that jumps out at me is I'm matched up against an AMC, or against an ELC even 90, which once again kind of destroys the argument that a 90mm autoloader is too powerful in tier 8. So yeah, I'm going to go over here and rush into the U on the western side of the map. I don't like going up the hill because you can very easily get obliterated if you're not careful going up that hill, and I don't like my odds in a straight up fight against the ELC even 90. So what I'm going to try to do is zip up here and then go straight up the hill if I can, and get some shots, but then I run into all these tanks and I'm like, whoa, no, they're all charging hard. So I pull back and take some shots at this Tiger. Can't really pen the SDRV. Unfortunately, I think our Cromwell went up there, and yeah, you can see what happened to him. So now I'm kind of figuring out, well, this plan was a bust. What am I going to do now? And I'm thinking about pulling back and trying to join the mediums, but then this Cromwell comes charging out. Unfortunately, that missed. Tried to take a third-person shot there, and with the Cromwell sitting on the corner there, I can't really peek that bush the way I wanted to. And at this point, I'm looking at the map thinking, well, geez, if I run away, we don't have a whole lot guarding this corner. The T-150 is pulling up to back us up, but I'm kind of concerned that he's going to be overly aggressive and get himself obliterated. So I'm just going to patiently sit here for a few minutes and kind of let this develop and see what happens, because even if I go around at this point, I'm not going to be able to take the corner, because you can see the Yag Panther, the MT-25 and whatnot, several other tanks are up there. But once the Tiger pulled up, I started to get very concerned about our ability to hold this corner, so I'm falling back now and trying to get away, because I'm pretty sure that T-150 is about to get bum rushed. So I thought I could maybe peek in these bushes here and hide and get some shots, but then I realized, well, even if I don't get seen at first, as soon as I fire, I'm going to get spotted, and then I have no place to run to. So I'm going to go ahead and go up, even though at this point I'm kind of concerned that I am exposed to fire from the hill and from the right over here. So we're going to pull up into this bush and try to put shots into these guys as they try to charge down this T-150. And, well, first shot didn't go that well, and I'm trying to prioritize the most dangerous tanks. And we got two tier 7s and then this KV-2, but the KV-2's gun's pretty dangerous, so really any of them would be a shootable target. The Tiger gives us a few shots. Unfortunately, we get really unlucky with that second shot, and now I'm thinking, do I fire this or do I just start reloading the magazine, is what I'm trying to decide. And once he goes dark and nobody else comes out, I go ahead and start the reload, because it's just me and a Jackson here at this point defending. So what I'm hoping is that I can get the magazine reloaded before they all invariably come pushing out together, which is what I would do if I was them. But you can see the KV-2 just keeps trying to like poke this Jackson at a really awkward angle. He's getting punished for it, and for whatever reason, they don't feel real confident pushing out from this location. Now here's the T-25-2, or the T-25-2. Once again, he gives us a nice flank shot, and for whatever reason, I managed to pull off a miss. KV-2 pokes again. He's really awkward, but I don't think he ever realized that he was exposed from the angle we were sitting at, and we were able to pick up the kill there. And at this point, we're down 3 tanks, and the SP-1C is now coming up, and I'm realizing I'm probably going to have to kill him, because if he gets up here, these guys may not be able to see me, but the SP-1C will spot me for them for sure. So we're just waiting on the reload, going to roll forward, trying to get some gun depression. and realize we can't get it. We back out when we see the Tiger and the T-25-2 pushing and trying to take out the T-25-2 because he's giving us easy flank shots. He stops, which is actually the worst thing he could have done, and once again we have a round go low, which completely shafts us. And now I'm looking at this SB-1C. My track's up, and I'm thinking, well, you know what? I'm just going to ram him. Get the kill, get unspotted. He shoots me in the track, which completely ruins my plan and costs me 273 health. But unfortunately, the SU-100M1 has turned and was able to shoot him, and I'm now able to back up and get unspotted. So now I'm thinking, well, ELC even 90 is going after my arty. Maybe I can try to save them because I will need my arty to fix this. I don't think he's seen me yet. He's focused on the artillery. And as you can see, he completely ignores us. And now we're going to have to try to ram him to finish him off. And there we go. We pick up our third kill. And now we have to go for the reload. And we managed to pull this back. It's now 10-9. We're up by one tank. And what I'm looking at is the Tiger. If we can clear the Tiger out of the corner there, it gets the SU-100M1 out of a really awkward spot where he's got a tank behind him and a tank in front of him. You can see the SU-100's pushing up in the center of the map. Right now the STRV is occupied. He's got tanks on both sides of him. And there goes the SU-100M1. He gave his flank to the Tiger 1. So now we're looking at shots on the STRV because he should be flank onto us, and I thought we could support them, but I'm really kind of nervous. If I shoot at him, I might get spotted by the Tiger, and he's really more dangerous. You can see we had a shot there. I took it, didn't hit, but then artillery cleans it up for us. So now we can go down and take out the Tiger 1 if the Type 59 doesn't beat us there, and then come back up, what I'm thinking, through the U and get the side of the SU-100 as he tries to chase down the IS-2. So hopefully if we do this right, we won't lose any more tanks. Unfortunately, the Type 59 picks up the Tiger before I can get there, but the SU-100 is pretty healthy with 580 health, so if we can just quickly get around the corner, we should be able to get a pretty decent score out of this. We stop right quick to accept the platoon invite for a quick brothers in arms out of this if it goes well, and now we're going to try to come up onto the flank of the SU-100. And unfortunately he's behind that rock, so what we'll have to do here, and there he is, he comes on out, and we just got to get the gun depression and goodbye. Now it's just a matter of chasing down the enemy Thunderbolt and the M44. So I'm thinking, like, nobody spotted the Thunderbolt, so he's either AFK or he's just camping with full health, and I decided to go ahead and go for the reload. In case he's camping with full health, I don't really want to keep coming after him with only 3 rounds when I could have easily just stopped and reloaded. So the first thing we're going to do is go up into these bushes and peek and see if maybe he's just AFK sitting here. The Type 59 does find the M44. His first shot isn't enough to kill him, and once again, accuracy on this gun proves that it's not all it's cracked up to be. The first shot misses, but we're able to pick up the 5th kill with our second shot. And going for the reload again while we come down and look for the Thunderbolt, who I suspect there he is, camping down there on that hill. And clearly not AFK, just, I don't know, didn't feel like getting involved in the fight, I guess. Type 59 puts a shot into him. I'm desperately trying to get wide so I can get out from behind the rock and maybe pick up a top gun. But he's just going to stand there and get eaten alive. And that's the game. 2,343 points of damage in the BatChat 12T. Is not too shabby in my opinion. Let's take a look at the end plates. First class medal there for our 5 kills along with our brothers in arms. You can see we did pretty well as compared to the rest of the team, 2,000 some damage, and we still managed to turn a tidy little profit with that game. So all in all, not too bad. So there you go, guys. That is a nutshell review of the new Tier 8. Well, I say new. It's actually been around for quite some time. It's just new to me. Tier 8 French light tank, the BatChat 12T. And overall, I got to say, it's well, the statistics don't lie. Statistically, it is unimpressive. The autoloader is nice, but obviously it doesn't have near the punch that the 1390 used to at Tier 8. And when you stack it up against the other Tier 8s, it really doesn't stack up very well. It's really going to be incumbent on you, the player, to make something happen with this tank, because on its own, it really doesn't shine in any particular way. And I think that's really unfortunate, because if you remember back to when I was playing World of Tanks regularly before I deployed, that was kind of a theme of the French light tanks is, yes, they have autoloaders, and that's kind of neat, but in and of itself, you know, is that really enough to make the tanks stand out? In a lot of cases, I would say the answer is no. The tanks were really just kind of blah, other than the fact that they were autoloaders. And so I really hope that Wargame will consider showing the BatChat 12T and other tanks like the 1375. Good lord, that thing still hasn't gotten any love that I'm aware of. A little spit and polish and kind of bring them up to the level of some of their competitors, because I really don't think in and of itself the BatChat 12T is a particularly strong tier 8 light tank. I think really it's going to be the player that's going to make this tank shine. In and of itself, it's just a mediocre light tank. So there you go, guys. I hope you enjoyed the first World of Tanks video on this channel in quite some time. If you did, please consider giving it a like and dropping a comment down below. If there's more you want to see, if you want to see more gameplay, more tank reviews, low tier, high tier, let me know what you guys want. I've got a lot of footage, and I'll try to give you guys what you're lacking here on the channel. But I do want to start including more World of Tanks coverage going into the future. So that's it. Happy New Year to you all. Hope you're having a great evening, and have a happy New Year's tomorrow, and we'll see you on the next one.